Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. We are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are. As always, it is Friday here on the podcast. It is actually the end of February. Can you believe it? We are already through the second month of the year. Time is just flying by. It's crazy. Yesterday here in Seattle, it was beautifully 60 degrees, sunny. I'm just so excited for spring, for summer. Can't keep it in, but it's a good day for a second reason because we have Desiree Doubrox. I screwed it up. I knew I was. I was going to do that.
It's fine. I respond to all.
Desiree here with us on the podcast. Desiree is a master in a very specific niche, a very unique niche, co-working, co-living. So for you guys out there who are interested in short-term rentals and rent by the room, that type of model, this is the episode to listen to. She's been in real estate since the 80s. She has tons of experience. So Desiree, I am super excited to jump into this. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right. I told you before we got on here, we always like starting with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. You've been in real estate since the 80s, so you have a good history, a story to tell us. Why don't you take us to the beginning and tell us how you got here?
Fantastic. I've been in real estate since 1989. First, I was an agent, and then I was a broker. And then for the last 20 plus years, I've been an investor, a syndicator, and basically just investing in real estate. And about 2017, I was working, and I'd done like triple nets, fix and flips, multi-residential notes, and short-term rentals. In 2017, I was working at my home, and I was a large home, and some friends would come over because they would want to work there as well. And I said, gosh, it would be wonderful if we could live where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. I had just become an empty nester, so I had that freedom and flexibility. And I was asking around, like, what else would somebody want? And they said it would be great for people that are traveling and that are single or widowed or whatever, and just simply want to be able to have that private space to be able to work with around other people. And so that's how it got started in 2017. Homework, HOMWORK, is where we live, where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. And what we do is that we syndicate for investors. Even the company was started through syndication to raise money to acquire properties, and they're SRO designated properties, single room occupancies. So they're boutique hotels or they're bed and breakfast inns, rooming houses, boarding houses, even hostels. And we remodel them and remarket them to business professionals and entrepreneurs. So prior to COVID, it was mostly millennials and creatives that it was designed for. But post-COVID, I'm sure you and everybody out there listening know of somebody, if not themselves, that are now working remotely. So You have WebMD doctors, we have accountants, attorneys, engineers that they decide, well, if they're working remotely, they can work from anywhere.
Interesting.
And then so we equip the properties specifically for that convenience. Every room has a desk and work area, but we also have a common co-working area. So one property, we used the attic. It was a 1905 house in San Diego. Another property, we used the rooftop and then the restaurant that was on the property in Cabo by the beach. So different properties will designate a working area so you don't have to go out to working. They have got great Wi-Fi. They got the desks that can stand, adjustable desks. So they're totally equipped. And the funny part about it, Gabe, is that, any time of day and night, you can find people there because they're from all over the world. So people that, during the day, you'll find the United States, but at midnight, people are going up there because they work in Europe or Asia and different areas. So that's exciting. And any given time, you have people from 5 to 7 different countries there. So you get a chance to connect, community, and so forth.
That sounds, it sounds really cool. It reminds me, like right after college, I did the typical, went to Europe, traveled abroad, backpacked. And it reminds me of hostels. I loved the experience staying in hostels where you're just kind of going, you meet all these different people, you have a lot of fun. But this, it sounds like it's specifically marketed to professionals looking to work in a specific location and then live in the same area. A
Yes, some
lot.
people have referred to it as a upscale hostel because, it is that community and you share a kitchen, so
Oh, okay.
you have that information.
Do does every yeah, a lot of questions hop into my mind. Does every unit have its own bathroom?
Yes. Our
Okay, so
property. Yeah, so that's the difference between that and the hostel as well. Every bedroom has a private bathroom.
interesting. Okay. Um, great. I love how, from your story, this kind of came about because you had, from your own life experience, you were an empty nester, you had a big house, extra rooms. You realized, I would love to work here in the same place that I live with other people. People are coming over anyways. So you kind of was birthed from your own experience. I love hearing that from people. Um, let's talk about the model itself. It sounds like it is probably very unique to the location that you do these units in. What do you look for when you're buying a house or a house or Airbnb or whatever it is specifically for co-working, co-living?
That's a great question because that is very dependent upon your market. Now, there are other co-working, co-livings for people that are surfers or that are artists or that are yoga masters and things of that type. But ours, because it's business professionals and entrepreneurs, we go to the cities. We search the top cities for business professionals and remote workers and digital nomads refer to the same, that they're traveling. So we'll go into cities like San Diego. Seattle is one of the cities. We're in Cabo San Jose, Puerto Nuevo. We're opening one in Las Vegas in a couple of months. One in Joshua Tree. So we look by the amount of tourists or travelers or people that are escaping to that area. Again, we need to be close. Most of the time, we try to be walkable neighborhoods, because they typically don't have cars, or they want to be close enough to it. But then again, there's one that we're looking at in the mountains in Greece, in the orange groves, and that's going to be more of a quiet, resting facility. And I mean, assume that the demographic is going to be a little older, maybe 50 something, because they just want to get away and detox, do a digital detox. So they will vary, but we are looking, the most important thing that we're looking at is the bedrooms and the bathrooms and having the kitchen area and common areas because we do weekly activities.
Oh,
Many times,
interesting.
yeah, we have a community director that we pay that does weekly activities, whether it's going like here in San Diego, they went out for a cruise or they went to a Padres game. Because again, when people come
Yeah, it
from
sounds just like a hostel.
it is for grown-ups. How's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. I like
Cool
it.
grown-ups.
That's great. And so I'm just thinking from the perspective of someone who wants to get into this, they like the idea, they want to start their own. If they were to go out and buy a house, it would be really difficult to turn it into something that could support this model. So you are looking, how many beds are you generally looking for? If you wanted to take a single family home and convert it to co-working, co-living, just take me through the process that you would go through to find that.
Sure, but most of the time you go towards the hotels. We do have that one home
Mm,
in
hmm.
San Diego because there was a rooming house, it was a boarding house previously
Oh,
for
okay.
men with specific incomes, limited incomes. So it was 12 bedrooms and 12 and a half baths. So think about the fact the more bedrooms you have, the more income you're going to be able to generate. And the average rooms varies anywhere from $100 to $300 a night. Now it's discounted if they stay long term. Most of the terms are short term. We prefer that because it's more profitable. But
Mm,
some people will stay a month or 2 months. It depends if they're on a specific assignment. But you find the property. But if you do have a home, then you look for at least 10. There's a home that we won in Vegas. It's a resort. It has a main house and it has two guest houses. It's on over an acre. And so it's a beautiful resort type thing. So we only have 10 currently, but we would like to have more. The one on Joshua Tree is 14. It was an apartment building that they changed. They got rezoned to a hotel, boutique hotel, and 14. So really, you want at least that amount. The one in Greece will be 14 bedrooms and bathrooms. You want at least, the more you have, the more you're going to be profits it is. Because and the difference is why they say it's 20 to 30% more profitable than multi-residential because of the fact that multi-residential, you have even a 6 bedroom home, you're going to get X amount of dollars a month, right? Maybe $6,000 a month. But if you rented out each one of those bedrooms, even at $100 a night, and if you divide it by $100 a night would be $3,000 per bedroom. Take it in half, $1,500. You'll make that much more, and
Mm,
that's what you want to think of as the math. You want to think of how can I monetize this, and so the more bedrooms, but you don't want it too crowded because
mm,
then it gets a different vibe. I think anything over 20, unless you have a large space like a resort or acre, it's going to feel like a hostel because there's so many people. I call it so many knuckleheads in the morning over the coffee, so you don't want it. You want to create some kind of exclusivity, and
mm.
some kind of uniqueness about it. So usually ours is 14 bedrooms is about the top, and it depends on how large the property is.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like specifically for you guys, your model, you are looking on the acquisition side, you're looking more for hotels, motels than you are for a single family that you can convert into this model.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Again, unless it's like the one that in Vegas, it was a single family, but now they have two guest houses that can accommodate more bedrooms and bathrooms.
That makes
And
sense.
more resort.
You mentioned earlier about a working area. So it sounds like that is the specific difference between your physically what your building would look like when you walked into it versus a regular hotel is you have this designated space, co-working space in the house. Tell us about that space. How do you place it? What do you put in it? And uh, how is that kind of shape
Mhm.
the foundation of the model?
Really, yes, there's three community areas that are important. One of them being a like living space where they can just lounge and watch TV. So you just have couches and a table and chairs. Many times, sometimes the properties have fireplace. In the one in Cabo, we have a rooftop we converted where they got fire pits and grills and sunshades and lounges and swings and hammocks and all that good stuff. So that's a community area. So inside and outside, so that people can connect. Then you have a workspace that's specifically more of a quiet space, where people are working quietly with their headphones. And again, you have the desk, you have, all the different amenities, fax machines, large screen TVs, whiteboards. And so they can actually work. And we use the rolling raise the desk, the standing, sitting desk, because
Mm,
they can move it around. They
mm.
can do wherever they want to move it to. And then the Wi-Fi is the number one important thing. We actually build in the Wi-Fi. We'll have the routers open the ceiling and built into every room of the
Oh wow.
property to make sure that there's no ever, because you've got those many
Yeah.
rooms,
If
14.
you're a worker, that's the one thing you want. You got to have that Wi-Fi.
Exactly. You've got, 14 rooms with computers and televisions and phones and pads. So you have to have a good Wi-Fi. So that's the work area. And that's great value add because sometimes if people are traveling, even if they're in their own Airbnb or even in a hotel, they have to go and pay to be in a co-working area just to get out, to be around other people. So
Hmm.
that's some 30 to $50 a day just by having be able to walk down in your sweats.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then in the third area, the kitchen, and it's the kitchen, because that's where a lot of magic happens. People are making breakfasts and
That's where the
lunch.
talking happens. Yep.
Yes, everyone gathers around the kitchen, and that's where they kind of connect. So a kitchen that's totally equipped with every amenity, and from the coffees to the teas to, again, we have barbecues to different days, different Taco Tuesdays. Again, it just depends on the property and so forth. So different activities, and that's where they actually a lot of connections. So those three areas you want to make sure that you have the room for to accommodate. And then the private rooms, that's also a desk in the private rooms because they have privacy when they need it, but then they have company when they want it.
Yeah.
So if they have a private Zoom call or something, they're able to be able to do it from their rooms.
Makes sense. And these are generally higher end product, correct? You're putting in these in nice. I mean, you've mentioned Joshua Tree, you've mentioned it's Cabo. I mean, you're putting these in nicer locations. This is not
Yeah.
something that you'd put in a workforce housing area. It's
Not
downtown where the businesses are.
right, not for our model because of the fact that we invest in the real estate. See that at the bottom line is real estate. So
Mm,
we buy properties that we would want to have and to keep. So the co-working, co-living is not going to go away. Because people now that they've been remote workers and digital nomads, they're not going to, some of them aren't going back to the offices, but a majority of them will never go back to the offices. And
yeah.
so that
Here
market
in
is
here in Seattle, it's a contentious topic because Amazon, they were all basically working from home, and then it destroyed downtown Seattle. Not destroyed, but it really hurt the economy because downtown Seattle was vacant. There was nothing happening, and so Amazon is forcing people to come back. And I've kind of seen that dynamic play across multiple news headlines that I've read. And so I'm curious how that affects your model.
There's definitely people that are going to go back, but there's a lot of them that have said that if they have to go back, they would find something else. A lot of even my daughter-in-law, my son, they are going to work remotely, and then a lot of independents, a lot of people during the COVID have established their own businesses. So again, we have our accountants or insurance people; they can work anywhere. So there's enough of that market out there that will be able to still thrive.
Yeah,
And more people, like even myself and my husband, will be retiring into this year. We'll still be working, but now he's a mechanical engineer for Titleist, so he's retiring. So we'll be able to travel anywhere and work. So that first place is going to Greece. Why would we, if we're remote, why would we stay here in San Diego? There's so much of the world. People no longer have to wait for that to retire to travel. They can do it if they work remotely now. So the market
cool.
is
So your husband, he designs golf clubs. That's pretty cool.
yes, yes, totally. Yes, he has over 75 patents. Absolutely.
That's an aside. That's cool. All right. Last question. We are running down the time, but I did want to ask about marketing because this is kind of a unique model. It does you need to communicate the value to people for them to understand, to kind of fit in their mind that, this is what I'm getting. How do you market this type of product to attract the type of customers that you want?
Well, believe it or not, there's large communities, there's websites and large communities, either Facebook communities, but international communities on co-working, co-living. I didn't realize how big it was until, I started Googling it. It's like, oh my goodness. People that just the digital nomads that are just traveling around the world. We partner with a company called Outsite.co, and they've been around since 2015, and they specialize only in co-working, co-living. So they have a very good, it's a membership-based company. So they have over 50 properties in 17 different countries. So they do the marketing. They have their social media as well as they have emails, and we do it as well. We have a great community that people have stayed in one. Many times they'll go to one and they'll travel to another location, especially within a company when they know what their quality is going to be and the people are going to be. They know what to expect. So many people, this is their lifestyle, and they will go from property to property. So it's the same. They do all the marketing, we do marketing, and it's the same that you would use for anything other fantastic
Huh.
opportunity, the location.
I just pulled up that website you mentioned,
Outsite.co.
outsite.co. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at their
Really
location.
interesting.
Yes. So some of our properties that are on there.
Huh. Yeah, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, I mean, being kind of like a hotel, you kind of function as a hotel or a hostel. Does each property have its own unique website? Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
You go on to outside and then you click the location and then they direct you to their unique page where you can see the pictures and the prices and the
So you
activity.
guys don't develop your own website for each property?
Not for each property, no.
Got it.
We
Okay.
have a page on our website so they can go one place, like they go to homework and then they can go to different properties, which we're redoing now.
Cool. Well, I love the model. I definitely see the need. So I'm glad you were able to come on here and share this. And you guys should really check out outsite.co. It's pretty interesting. A lot of unique spaces here to take a look at. So if you guys are interested in this model, check it out. And then also homework.com, homwork.com is Desiree's website. With that, I'm going to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. It starts with education. Could be any form. Could be a conference you've gone to, a mentorship program you've been a part of, book you've read, movie you've seen, anything. But I need 2 recommendations: one for general life wisdom, or one for real estate.
All right. General like real wisdom would be the How I Built This by Guy Raz. It's the podcast. I
Oh,
listen
okay.
to podcasts, and that's like I think it's real estate or anything you're doing is a business, and it's great to be able to hear the different stories of those different businesses that carries you through. And for real estate, I recommend Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets, they have a lot of videos and podcasts, and there's a lot of information out there. So I would find those 2 recommendations. If you connect with those 2, you'll have a good base.
Perfect. All right. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go to the Desiree who is just getting started as an agent back, I think you said 1989. Go back to her, look her in the eye, give her one piece of advice moving forward.
Trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and keep moving forward.
Good advice. Easier said than done, but it's very, very good advice. Don't second guess yourself. If people start, people will always have different opinions, especially if they're on the outside. But you need to trust your intuition, trust your gut, and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, that leads us to the next question. This is going to be a unique one for you. It's about the U.S. Actually, I'm going to open it up to the world because you did mention Greece. So let's say it's about the world. It's a huge place. There's so much opportunity out there. Give me the single city you're most excited about investing in today.
Greece.
Interesting. Okay. Give me a city in Greece.
Oh, the island of Athens. I think Athens. No,
Is
not
Athens an island?
Athens. No, Athens on the
Crete.
Crete. Yes. There you
Okay.
go. Yes.
Interesting. Very cool. Yeah, as always, you're people who say international stuff, you're always the first. So you are the first one to mention Crete. What is unique about Crete that you feel excited about investing in?
Oh, again, a lot of the things that we invest, I mentioned earlier, the properties that we buy are things that I'm interested in investing in and places that I'm interested in staying. And
Mm,
so I've been watching a lot of videos about Creed and it's very exciting. I think it's obviously affordable. I think that, again, it will always attract tourists.
mm.
So the property will appreciate in whatever way it does. And it's a place that I would want, if worst case scenario, I would consider living there. I would live there.
Very cool. All right. Next question is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and penning that purchase agreement. So, what's your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
We have a buy box email that we send out to every time I go into an area and have any connection with the realtor, I send it to them. And then we keep it up at least once a quarter so that they stay on top of mind. Then I spend many, many, many hours on Cretsy and LoopNet and mostly Cretsy and LoopNet looking for deals. Almost every day I'm on there just to see what else is there.
Yeah.
But girls, realtors, and LoopNet and Cretsy.
Yeah. It's so easy to get sucked into the whole of correcting and LoopNet.
I love looking at properties, even if it's not for me. I just still love looking at them. It's
Yeah.
very fascinating.
All right. Next question is about lessons learned. Not every deal that we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, many times something goes wrong and we get to learn a lesson. So, what was a deal that went a little sideways for you? And then what was a lesson you pulled from it?
Hmm. One deal that went sideways is that we had a large $120,000 deposit. It was a $1.2 million property. We put 10% down, EMD, earnest money deposit, and they became
10% for earnest? That's ridiculous. I would never, I would be like, hell no.
well, this was in Mexico, which is not some areas they do require more, but yes, that was a lesson learned not to do that again, not to put. But now what we do is we do installments. We do
Mm,
so much, and then we'll do after contingencies another amount, and then to close the escrow. But anyway, became contentious, and we didn't close. and we had to hire an attorney to be able to get our money back. And the money was in escrow in Chicago. So it was Chicago, Dallas, Texas. So it was in the United States. Then we waited and we went back and forth. They wouldn't return it. Finally, I asked that let's check and see here in the US, when you have an escrow open, then one else can open an escrow or they can't sell the property. So we thought we were tying up the property, hoping they would, when they find another buyer, they would actually become more negotiable. When we checked, we found that they had sold the property to another buyer and closed escrow. The same escrow company did that. And so obviously it weakened our position. We got very, very little back, maybe a pittance back. But that was a lesson learned. One, never to put that much deposit in and just do it in installments and don't have it released to the seller prior to. And two, that even if it's an escrow, that you don't, someone else can buy the property and you need two signatures or attorney or judicial, no, to release the funds, but they can still sell the property under you.
Man, yeah, that is a hard lesson learned. It's definitely something you're not gonna happen again. But yeah, that's those are things that earnest money. Oof, I always 1% is what I stick by. I say, hey, this is a property. 1% is the earnest money. I'm not doing anymore. So yeah, that's a hard lesson learned, but you learned it, and now you have it in your back pocket for the future, which is always good. That leads us to the next question. This is actually the last question. This is for you. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
They can find me at my email, Desiree@homework.com. I'm open to people calling me directly or texting me, 818-292-5559. When they contact me, especially if they email me, they can also go to the website and schedule an appointment, and they can schedule 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And I'm gladly talk to them about what they're doing and how I can best support them.
Perfect.
Because I think what you're doing is amazing. And again, the more knowledge and the more access that they have, people have this in real estate, it can be a lonely game and it can be very scary because you're dealing with big dollars. So work with someone like yourself or reach out to someone like yourself or myself or anyone expert and get the information that you need. Don't be afraid to do that.
100%. All right, that wraps it up. Desiree, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for offering this. I appreciate it. And I'm sure all your listeners do as well. So good luck and thank you again.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.